The single fastest way to melt visceral belly fat is to stop eating dead sugar. In fact, health experts have found dead sugar is killing more people than tobacco. It's one of the biggest causes of visceral fat gain, and it's why you likely experience brain fog, fatigue, and feel decades older than you are. Doctor of Natural Medicine. And today I want to tell you everything I know about dead sugar, how to avoid it, and how to reverse its effects as soon as tonight. See, when you eat a fruit, the sugar inside it comes packaged with fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Your body does not just receive sweetness, it receives a complete biological package that helps it process that sugar properly. This is a live sugar. Now, take that same sugar, strip away the fiber, remove the minerals, and inject it into a processed food or a beverage. This is dead sugar. Dead sugar is sugar that has been isolated and refined to the point where it carries nothing useful for the body. It's just a concentrated hit of sweetness with zero biological support. But the bad news is dead sugar is everywhere. High fructose corn syrup, liquid sugars in sodas, energy drinks, flavored coffees and fruit juices, these are all dead sugars and they're hiding in foods most people eat every single day without realizing it. Now here is how dead sugar is different from a live sugar. When a live sugar enters your body, the minerals, the nutrients, slow digestion, the body handles the incoming energy smoothly. When dead sugar enters your body, none of that support exists. The body receives a large energy load with no minerals or nutrients to help manage it. This places stress on your metabolic systems, especially your liver, which now has to process a flood of concentrated sugar completely on its own. But the real danger isn't the stress on your liver. The problem begins when this sugar starts feeding a very specific and very dangerous type of fat, and this starts inside your liver. When you consume dead sugar, a large portion of it is fructose, and fructose is different from other sugars because almost no other tissue in your body can process it, so it goes straight to the liver. When fructose arrives in small amounts from whole foods, the liver handles it fine. But when it arrives in large concentrated doses through sodas, packaged snacks and sweetened beverages, the liver gets completely overwhelmed. And when the liver cannot keep up, it does the only thing it can. It converts that excess fructose into fat. This process is called de novo lipogenesis, which simply means the liver is manufacturing new fat from sugar. Now, this newly created fat does not go to your arms or legs. It does not sit just under your skin where you can see it or pinch it. It accumulates around your liver, your pancreas, your intestines, and your other abdominal organs. This is visceral fat, and visceral fat is nothing like the fat on the surface of your body. It does not just sit there passively. It's metabolically active. It functions almost like a rogue organ inside your abdomen, constantly releasing inflammatory chemicals into your bloodstream. The more dead sugar you consume, the more fructose floods the liver. The more the liver converts to fat, the more visceral fat accumulates, and the more inflammatory signals get released into your body. At the same time, your insulin sensitivity starts to decline. Your cells stop responding to insulin properly. That makes it easier for your body to store even more fat and harder for it to burn any of it. So, the cycle locks in. Dead sugar overwhelms the liver. The liver then manufactures visceral fat. Visceral fat drives inflammation. That inflammation worsens insulin resistance, and insulin resistance makes the entire problem worse with every meal. Most people try to fix this by cutting calories or exercising more, but if dead sugar is still coming in, the liver keeps manufacturing fat, and the cycle never breaks. In fact, the cycle gets worse because dead sugar goes beyond just visceral fat, which means the biggest danger starts after the production of that visceral fat. You see, visceral fat is constantly releasing inflammatory chemicals called cytokines directly into your bloodstream, and that inflammation travels everywhere. It hits your brain, your blood vessels, your immune system. Everything downstream gets affected. When inflammatory signals reach the brain, they interfere with how your neurons produce and use energy. The brain is the most energy-demanding organ in your body. It needs a steady supply of fuel to function properly. Inflammation disrupts that supply. It slows down neuronal communication, reduces processing speed, and makes thinking feel heavy and effortful. This results in brain fog. You've been there, and it's not random. It has a direct biological cause sitting inside your abdomen. Then, visceral fat affects your energy. See, your mitochondria are the energy-producing units inside every cell. They power everything, your muscles, your organs, your brain. But mitochondria are extremely sensitive to inflammatory stress. When chronic inflammation is present, mitochondrial function declines. They produce less energy and recover more slowly, and the result is that heavy, dragging fatigue that no amount of sleep seems to fix. That dangerous effect of visceral fat it will reach in your blood vessels. You see, visceral fat damages the lining of your blood vessels over time. Blood flow becomes restricted. Less oxygen and fewer nutrients reach your brain and vital organs. This is one of the reasons visceral fat is so strongly linked to heart disease, cognitive decline, and accelerated aging. And most of this is invisible on standard lab work. Your basic blood work can look completely normal while visceral fat is quietly driving inflammation, damaging your blood vessels, and degrading your brain function in the background. Many people feel decades older than they are, and they have no idea why. And it all started with the dead sugar that no one warns you about. So the question is, what do you actually do about it? Here is to break the cycle, stop the liver from manufacturing visceral fat, reduce the inflammation that is already there, and restore the metabolic environment your brain depends on. And here's how you do that. Start by cutting out dead sugar completely. As long as dead sugar's coming in, the liver keeps converting fructose into visceral fat. The cycle cannot break if the input never stops. You don't have to eliminate sweetness entirely, you just have to replace dead sugar with a live sugar. For example, raw honey is different from dead sugar. It arrives with antioxidants, enzymes, and beneficial plant compounds that actually support the body instead of burdening it. So you can get the same sweetness but with biological value attached. This is the alive sugar that works with your metabolism instead of against it. And another way is to eat more protein. When you cut dead sugar, you need something to replace the calories and keep hunger under control. Protein helps in this case. High protein intake does 3 things at once. Number 1, it preserves your muscle mass, which is critical for insulin sensitivity. It keeps you full, which reduces the urge to reach for sugar, and it supports cellular repair, which helps the body recover from inflammatory damage visceral fat has already caused. So aim for a high-quality protein at every meal. Eggs, meat, fish, and poultry. You can also do grass-fed or organic dairy like unsweetened Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. All those are excellent choices. Then do resistance training. This step is non-negotiable after 40. You see, muscle is the primary tissue that clears glucose from your bloodstream. The more muscle you have, the better your insulin sensitivity. Harder it becomes for the body to accumulate visceral fat. Resistance training 2 to 3 times per week preserves existing muscle and builds new lean tissue over time. This directly improves how your body handles incoming sugar and carbohydrates. It also increases mitochondrial density, which means more energy production capacity in every cell, including the brain. Another thing you can do is walk after meals. This is one of the simplest and most underrated tools available, a clearance. Instead of the post-meal blood sugar spike sitting in your bloodstream and being converted to fat, your muscles absorb it and use it for movement. Over time, this habit alone can improve insulin sensitivity and reduce the amount of fuel available for visceral fat production. And of course, you want to prioritize sleep. We know poor sleep raises cortisol. Elevated cortisol then raises blood sugar. Elevated blood sugar raises insulin, and elevated insulin promotes fat storage, particularly that visceral fat. This is why people who sleep poorly tend to carry more belly fat even when their diet is relatively clean. Sleep is where the body repairs, regulates hormones, and clears inflammatory waste from the brain. So don't sleep on sleep. You got to prioritize it. Now let's do the most frequently asked questions I get about dead sugar and its connection to overall health. Question number 1, are natural fruit sugars safe or are they also dead sugar? And this is one of the most common misconceptions in nutrition. Fruit juice, even 100% natural fruit juice, like 100% natural orange juice with no added sugar, it's essentially a dead sugar. When you juice a fruit, you remove the fiber. And the fiber is what separates a live sugar from dead sugar. Without it, the fructose in fruit juice hits the liver in a concentrated dose exactly the same way soda does. The whole fruit is fine because the fiber slows absorption and the nutrients arrive intact. But the juice is a different product entirely. It's best avoided if reducing visceral fat is the goal. Now, question number 2. Does alcohol behave like dead sugar in the liver? The answer is yes, and in some ways it's even more damaging. Alcohol is processed almost exclusively by the liver, exactly like fructose. You see, when you drink alcohol, the liver prioritizes breaking it down above everything else, including fat burning. During that entire window, fat metabolism stops completely. On top of that, alcohol converts it into acetaldehyde, a toxic byproduct that directly damages liver cells and drives inflammation. Regular alcohol consumption combined with dead sugar intake creates a double burden on the liver that accelerates visceral fat accumulation significantly faster than either one of those things alone. So, question number 3. Why does visceral fat keep building even when someone's eating less and exercising? This is one of the most frustrating situations people face. The reason it happens is that calorie restriction and exercise alone, they're not going to fix the liver. You see, if dead sugar is still coming in through condiments, sauces, flavored drinks, or packaged snacks, the liver keeps converting fructose into visceral fat regardless of how much you're exercising or how little you're eating overall. Plus, extreme calorie restriction raises cortisol, and that raises insulin, which actively promotes visceral fat storage. The body interprets severe dieting as a stress signal and responds by protecting its fat reserves. This is why targeting the specific input, dead sugar, matters far more than simply eating less. So visceral fat is not a willpower problem. It's not simply about eating too much or moving too little. It's a metabolic problem driven by a specific input, dead sugar, that overwhelms the liver and degrades your brain from the inside. The only solution is to give your body the conditions it needs to clear the visceral fat that has been silently driving the problem all along. So, now you know the key strategies to burn that dangerous visceral fat. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out my full 7-day fat burning quick start guide. I'll have a link in the show notes. Of course, subscribe so you never miss one of these trainings, and drop a comment below and let me know what you're going to start doing today to burn through visceral fat. And of course, be blessed.